Captain on the bridge.
Alright, captains, we are back on the bridge, and today, yes, we will be on the Tamarian cruiser. Yes, captains, but before we get into this video, do us a huge favor and hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. And also, if you're new here, welcome. Consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge, where we're always on the lookout for like-minded captains, where we can share our love, our passion for Star Trek Online, but also things Star Trek. Now, with that said, here we go, captains. Yes, as we mentioned, we will be going over and doing some Pewzins on the Tamarian cruiser. One thing, actually, caps, before we continue on this video, I would like to take this moment once again to wish you and your crew and your family, your loved ones, a happy new year, happy 2024, and we wish you all the best in this new year. And once again, thank you for all the support that you've given us over not only the last year, but also the years leading up to this point. Thank you, captains. Yes, we'll go back here. As I mentioned, we are going to be going over this, which was the 2023 Winter Event Prize. And again, it's the Tamarian Cruiser. This was from Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 2, Darmok. And I'm glad we got it. Performance-wise, it is a great ship. I'm not going to lie. I am very, very pleased with how it's been performing. So what we're going to do in this video is go over the build, the weapons, space set, consoles, trade stations, and DOF, and then take it into a Cure Advance. So going over the model here, it really does remind me of a X-Wing, kind of with in flight mode, but regardless, it is pretty cool. Now, we did actually take some inspiration of this build when it came to what we saw on screen, but it was only on that one episode. Now I'm going to put this on screen quickly here, and you will see, captains, what I did and what I included on this build, which is that one green beam it fired during the episode. So I'm not sure if it's a disruptor. I think they referred in that clip something like a particle beam or something like that, but it's color green. So keep that in mind. That's kind of what we had to go off in terms of trying to keep it sort of canon, but we leaned very heavily onto the specialization of this ship, which is a command ship. And captains, you know I love me some command ships. So let's go over the build here. As you can see there, the Tamarian Deep Space Cruiser. And as you can tell, I did not T6X or X2 this ship, because as you know, captains, I always want to see how a ship does right out of the box, right out of the event, because for the most part, Star Trek Online is pretty easy, and as long as you synergize your builds and have fun at the same time and build it and cater it towards the content you play, it doesn't matter. I'm just showing sort of the base, and if it does well here, well, captains, if you then upgrade it, then it can do better. So let's start here. The 4 weapons. So the first one, Enhanced Biomolecular Photon Torpedo, which of course you can get from your Undine rep. One of the still best torpedoes in game. The Delphic Distortion Torpedo Launcher, which is from the LLaP store. The Neutronic Torpedo Launcher from your Delta rep. And the Dark Matter Quantum Torpedo, which was from your Discovery rep, or which is from the Discovery rep, I should say. And yes, we included the Maelstrom Quantum Torpedo Launcher, which is from the legendary Akira, which is paired up in a bundle with the legendary Valdor. It is a great torpedo. I love the looks and the sounds of it, and it still hits pretty darn hard. Space set, this is what we got going on. Nothing too different. The Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector from your fleet colony. The Prevailing Innovative Impulse Engines from your competition rep. And we're using the Tholian Nucleating Warp Core. This is from an event, a reward, last year in 2023. We're using it because it says there that deals 16,579.2 radiation damage when enemies collide with it. Why? Because upon defeating an enemy, it creates 1 to 2 Tholian Warp Crystals. So, not bad. Additionally, grants 2,463.8 points of secondary shielding for 20 seconds. Allied players get near it, and that's not too bad at all. And we're always going to stick with the Tilly's review pending modified shield. Nothing wrong with it. It works quite well. And of course, it says that your weapon attacks cause enemy shields to receive 11.5% increased damage for 10 seconds. Again, from the Discovery Rep, great gear. As you can see already, just at this point, we've got so many gear already just from the reputation. Next up, we have 2 of the Thoron infused quantum mine launchers. And this was from the Delta Rep Dilithium store. And yeah, we just re-rolled it. And on the 3rd slot here, the omnidirectional disruptor beam array. Again, this is the green beam that we have on this to just put that on here, but we leaned heavily, obviously, towards a torpedo build. Next up in devices, advanced battery kinetic amplifier, or my Torp Candy, for the plus 30% bonus projectile damage for 20 seconds, and the 5% critical severity for 20 seconds as well. And it says only affects projectile weapons. The Temporal Negotiator to help with our recharge rates times. Kobayashi Maru Transponder for its buff goodness, and some deuterium surplus to get us around the map a little faster if we need. Now we are going to use the console that comes with this ship. It's called the Polarity Coil Generator. So, Gramble, his fate, his own doing. What does it do? Directed energy weapons deal an additional 12,045.3 kinetic damage. Ignore shields to those affected by shields offline. So whenever we hit a shields offline, that's going to apply. So it kind of works with this build, so we're going to keep it on there. And it's been doing good, so nothing to really take it off, or reasons to take it off, I should say. Next up, the binaural infusion circuits, which is from your low-buy store, plus 29.5 Starship hull capacity, but also for the flat-out, plus 26.2% crit severity. We're going to use this console here, the VAQ Warhead Multiple Launch System, which is from the Texas class, and the ship is from Lower Decks, plus 31.2% kinetic and beam damage, plus 16.3% hull capacity. So it is a medium range kinetic damage. Throws up to 12 charges, uses all when firing. Each charge launches a VAQ warhead at a random foe in a target 135-degree arc, which splits into 6 projectiles after 1.25 seconds or default 3 clicks. Foe hit before the split, 22,662.5 kinetic damage. Foe hit within 4 clicks of the split, 7,554.2 kinetic damage times 6. If no hit, far away foes, 7,554.2 kinetic damage up to 3 targets. So again, great console, love it, and it helps to add to the torpedo goodness. My good old DPRM, or Dynamic Power Distributor Module, which is from the Prototype Dreadnought, aka the Atlas, which you can get from your event board. 11.3 all damage resistance rating, plus 19% directed energy damage. So it's going to help our Lonely Beam there, just because. But it's for the clicky. We're using it for the clicky. Bonus damage resistance, hull regen. To sell for 20 seconds, plus 40% bonus damage while above 80% hull, plus 100 bonus damage resistance rating, plus 500% hull regen. Not a bad console. Point defense bombardment warhead from any version of the NX, plus 25% projectile damage, and its cute 1% critical chance. The actual set bonus actually this gives us is plus 33% disruptor damage for directed energy weapons, so it's going to help, again, our Lonely Omni Beam. Next up, we are going to use the Covert Warhead Module, plus 28% projectile damage. Sets shared torpedo recharge to 1.5 seconds if it was longer, or to 0.5 seconds if equipped ship has pilot maneuvers. You don't have that, but that passive enough is good to use. We're not going to also use the clicky where it kind of cloaks you and then it like plants a bomb there. It takes us out of the pew pew mode and doesn't do any damage, and all our weapons are not firing, so I don't use it, but I just use it for the passive. Ferrofluid hydraulic assembly from your Terran rep, plus 13% maximum hit points, and of course the minus 0.5 second shared torpedo recharge time. This is from your Terran rep. We are using the Agony Redistributor, and that comes from the Adamant, which was from last year's anniversary bundle, which you can get in the C-store by its lonesome, and it reapplies portion of damage dealt in AoE, so stop hitting yourself power, I call it. Each second or up to 12 seconds, amount of hull depleted from your target is stored. Each second deals phaser damage equal to 33% of stored value. Ignore shields and half resistance. Up to 10 foes within 5 clicks of target foe. Still does pretty well, even though it has been adjusted, quote unquote adjusted, nerfed, whatever you want to call it. Still a worthwhile console in my opinion, as it does help. Next up, we are going to use the Swarm Matrix. Just got this off the console years ago. But what does it do? Plus 30% turn speed, flight speed, and damage for your hanger pets and targetable torpedoes. So we don't have hanger pets, but we do have targetable torpedoes. And it, of course, flat out plus 50 projectile weapon training. So not that bad. And it is a clicky. I can use it if I want to. Normally I don't, but when I remember to, I click it. Next up, the Tri-Cobalt Tear Launcher, which is from your T6 Steam Runner, aka Blockade Appalache Blockade Runner. Plus 19% mine and torpedo damage, plus 47.5 Starship Shield Pen. And this looks pretty freaking cool when you fire it. That's mostly why we use it, but it also helps the torpedo build. And lastly, Opening Salvo. This gives us 21.4 Starship Weapon Specialization, improves critical hit chance with weapons. And of course, when we use this, not only does it look like quantum torpedoes, but it takes the enemy's or target's shield offline. Just like we were mentioning earlier, when it comes to the Tholian Warp Core, this is going to help when the shields go offline. We're just dealing a little bit more DPS there. And of course, this comes from the T6 Titan. Not the Neoconi, but the Titan itself. One of my favorite consoles, and I love just using it because it looks cool and it actually takes the shields off. So that is what we got going on here, and even helps with this console too, because the shields offline when the shields are offline. So again, trying to synergize as best you can. That's the best you do. Now, I did not use the trait on this, but here's the trait. Darmok and Jalad. Once per foe damaging when unshielded facing allows you to beam their captain away to target. Disable for 6 seconds to target. Minus 33.3% all damage for 60 seconds. And to self, minus 10% recharge time on captain abilities. I was told by a good friend of ours here, Dwayne, that apparently there is some recording. I'm not sure. I have not used it. Captains, if you have actually heard that, let me know in the comments below. If it's just because for that recording, why not for the immersion use it, but we did not use it on this particular build. Now, stat-wise, this is what we got going on here. We got 33.1% crit chance and 178.2% crit severity. Keep in mind, I do have my Pendevers ranked up to 600. I can go to 750, but I choose not to because we were doing fine before the cap and we're doing fine right now. I don't see no need. And again, always trying to show what we can do with less, just because. Skills-wise, specialization, we have Intel Primary and Temporal Secondary still. My tree here, I have not changed it, nor do I plan on, but this is what I got going on. We have 8 spent in Engineering, 10 spent in Sci, and 28 spent in Tactical. For our traits, this is what we got going on. A good day to die, superior projectile training, self-modulating fire, anchored, hot pursuit, kinetic precision, unconventional systems, Terran targeting systems, intelligent agent attaché, and of course the Boimler effect. For our starship traits, again, we only have 5 to work with, so this is what I picked. Assault Formation Theta. Love this one. Using attack pattern Omega gives me not only the benefits of Omega, but also a high yield 3. And that's going to come into effect to what I love doing with my torpedo builds, and we'll go over that over in a sec here. Universal designs, entwined technical matrices for our back-to-back torp spreads. We're going to use rapid emitting armaments for our additional torpedo goodness. And of course, subspatial warheads for more damage when we use high yield. Our space reputation here, we have precision, advanced targeting systems, Omega kinetic shearing, torpedo pre-fire sequence, and Tyler's duality. For active space reputation is what we got going on here. Anti-time entanglement singularity, biomolecular shield generator, quantum singularity manipulation, tethered non-baryonic asteroid, and refractory tetron cascade. Now we go to our stations. We go left to right, top to bottom. So this, again, because this is a command ship, this is what we went with. It's actually a command and an intel, and both help out. So this is what we're going on. Beam fire at will. And scatter volley. Again, this is going to give us our torp spreads back to back. And of course, concentrate firepower 3. Now in this slot, this universal slot here, we use Dr. Crusher. Why? Because whenever I use a heal and or a shield heal and or heal, hull heal, it'll give me an additional high yield 1. Which is awesome, because again, with high yields, we get the spatial warheads to trigger, and the more high yields, the better. So as you can see, we got Psi Team that will trigger that, and I'll show that in a bit. We also got another high yield torpedo 1 here, mine dispersal pattern beta 1, and of course the attack pattern omega 1. So what I do here, I'm gonna close this quickly. How we activate this to get the back-to-back torp high yield and torp spreads is we activate first our high yield 1, our shield heal, which is Psi Team, and then attack pattern omega, and then FA. What does that give us? Torp spread 1, high yield 3, high yield 1, and then high yield 1, and of course I'll have concentrate firepower as well. And as soon as I hear the torp spreads go, I hit my scatter volley. I don't hit it now because if I do it now without actually firing the torpedo spread, it will actually just reset the timer. So it's at 9 seconds now. If I hit it again, it just refreshes. Before, I believe before when this trait first came out, you were able to stack them, but all you gotta do is just listen to it. It's a pretty distinct sound, a torp spread. So, but yeah, that's why I love doing what we do with our builds, because of all that torpedo spitting out of the ship. It just looks awesome. So we're carrying on here. Emergency powered engines, emit unstable warp bubble, let it go, eject warp plasma 2. Of course, we have tractor beam here for rapid emitting armaments and scramble sensors. You can put vital impulse here, but these two work well, so I don't see the reason why to change it, but that is your choice to do if you want to, Cap. So now we head over to our dopes, the 2 on ground, always helping us in space. Neil Falconer, increased damage versus the Berg. Elder Malikaton, increased damage versus all. And then the 6 we got going on here, the emergency con officer here, recharges evasive maneuvers when emergency power to engines is activated. We got 3 projectile weapons officers. The first one here, chance to reduce the time to recharge mines. Second one, chance to stacking crit severity buff on firing projectiles. And the third one, chance to reduce the time to recharge torpedoes. And then the 2 rounding out, this is Delirene with increased damage again versus the Berg. 38 of 47, reduce other bridge officer ability cooldowns after using one. This is a command specific one, and it does really well and helps with this build a lot. So that is the build. Been having a lot of fun with the ship in the past week here with my fellow captains, and yeah, it really does The model-wise, it's okay. There is an issue I have with it camera-wise because when you zoom in on your ship, you're usually able to kind of get in real close without changing the field of view. But just a normal field of view here, if you go in close in the front of the ship here, you're actually cut in the ship here. So I think they could have moved that back a little. Also, it sits a little low on the camera. I feel like it could go a little higher. But also, when you actually do change the field of view closer here, look how low it kind of sits there. But again, it is what it is. It still works perfectly fine. You kind of just work with what we've given. Again, the model is done well. Can't say that they had really changed anything because all they did was just go off what they saw in that episode. So what we're going to do now is go into that Cure Advance. And what we're going to do, as we always do, is go to the left dock station, take out all the Borg there. Once they're taken care of, we're going to shoot over to the right side. As we do, take care of all the bops heading towards the Kang because we got to protect the Kang. Take out the right side, take out the remaining Borg, and then take out the middle dock station, and then finish off the TFO. So here we go. We're going to try it out. See how it performs in this Cure Advance. And yes,
engage.
Captain Picard is here with us because why not? All right, here we go. Here we go. Love this map. Color bits. It's pretty great. So let's take that out there. Get some mines launched here. Move it down. Go over there. Start loading that up. Over here. Quickly. Take care of that. Take care of these ones going over. And we're going to zip around to these Borg here, taking them out as quickly as possible. You see we have the green beams going on there. Take care of that, and then that one there. We'll have Borg here to do, so we'll take care of these guys. Then trying to protect the Kang here as best as we can. The Borg Raptor there, but we'll take care of that. Then take care of these guys here. Getting some cheap shots in, but we'll take care of them eventually. And there you go. I think I saw another Raptor here, so let's go take him out. There's a lonely nanite probe there, so we'll take that out too. Okay, that's done. Okay, now we head over to this assimilator here. Take that out. Beautiful. Took out that spear top of there too. It's performing really well. This ship, for a free ship, an event ship, it is doing quite well. It has done quite well. And we have the numbers for it. We'll show that after this, once we finish the mission here. Take that out. Then we're going to take out these Negvars, heading over to the Kang. There you can see the green beams for the immersion. Man, these Borgified Klingon ships look so mean. That's done. Okay, let's take care of this. And there goes that assimilator. Easy peasy. There goes that spear. Again, easy peasy. And we're not even fully using our buffs here. Take care of these. And done. Look at that. Map's clear. Let's tell the Kank to get out of here. Bye. Let's load up here on our artillery. Buff up here, why not?
Your defensive capabilities are unable to withstand us. Lower your shields and await assimilation.
And just like that. Done. And for a cruiser, it is quite nimble. I do like how it moves as well. Actually, all the latest cruisers have been really moving well, what we've noticed. But there you go. That is how it did. This is probably going to be one of the thumbnails that we use for this video. What we're doing is just taking a shelfie, which, captains, if you don't know what that is a ship selfie, as we love to do, especially when we're on the bridge with our fellow captains, because why not? So that is how it did. Now let's warp out here and give our final conclusions. It's a great ship, and for the past 2 weeks, I've been having a lot of fun with it. Since I've unlocked it, I have not changed ships fully. I have a little bit, but like this has been my main ship, and it has done really well. What we're going to do quickly is pose it, because I want to show you, Cap, how it did in 2 particular ISCs. So, put this on screen. So we did this as of this video about 4 days ago, and it drops on our YouTube channel here. As you can see here in the ISC, and we were with Dark Speaker, aka Augmented. We were our good friend Waldo, Chuck, Dwayne. Shout out to you, Caps. It did 563. The lowest I've seen this do is like 590, I think 580 or something. But again, captains, keep in mind, when you're doing these ISCs and parsing them, unless you're running with the same team and using the same strategy, different team configuration is going to give you different DPS results. But this has been consistently around that 400 to 600 mark. So this is not the... I've had this hit 600 multiple times. So this was done, like I said, about 3-4 days ago as of the release of this video. And it did 563.10k damage in this ISC. Then a couple of days ago, 2-3 days ago, we did another one. And as you can see, it hit 669, 773.35 GPS in this particular ISC. Again, team configuration is going to be different. But as you can see, the time-wise, 224 here, and it was 227. So this was longer, but this was a shorter run, and we were able to actually see the performance of this. Now, I said already, I did not T6X or X2 this. This could even perform better in the right hands. And I've seen it perform better in the right hands. But for us, this is what gets us through our nightly pew-pews. But again, this showcases how well this ship does, or really any ship, as long as you, again, synergize the build, you're going to be able to get through the content of Star Trek Online. It's relatively easy, especially if you have fellow captains running with you. So that is how the ship did. Highly recommend, captains, if you haven't tried the ship. If you got it and you haven't tried it yet, try it out, see how it does for you. I think it is a really good ship. Some of our fellow captains, like CJ, shout out to you, sir, has used it as a tank. I believe Nicholas as well, shout out to Nick. And it tanked. It did really well. And those ISCs that we did, we had no tank. So we just kind of DPS'd our way through. So again, this is not only a great torpedo platform, but also a tank platform. Is it going to be the best? No, but for a free ship, oof, it's really good. It reminds me of the fall ship we got a couple years ago, the Mirror Gagarin. Kind of Sad we didn't get another fall ship here in 2023, but this ship is an absolute performance, I don't want to say beast, but man, it does really good. And I've seen this hit a million in a different build. I believe it's Scatter Volley. I think Spencer, our good friend Spencer, aka Casual SAB, of course, he's a robot, so of course he's going to get those numbers. But again, showcasing how good this ship is and what it can do. And if you were lucky enough to get this, I say use it in term until you get another ship that you're aiming for, because it does perform really well. And it doesn't look half bad, not my preferred type of looking ship, but it is true to what we saw on Star Trek The Next Generation there in Season 5, Episode 2. And I'm all for more TNG love here in Star Trek Online. So captains, do us a huge favor, hit that like button, comment below, let us know if you've tried this ship, and let me know how it performed for you. And of course, if you're new here, consider subscribing to our YouTube Bridge. And of course, we will leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.